think about like the Christian belief here. We believe that all people, everybody that you meet and run past today and see at work or see driving by you, every single person on the planet will live forever somewhere. And so we want to make the most of our life because whoever God puts into our, sphere of influence or in our path, that's a person that's going to live somewhere forever. And so, number one, we ought to be very mission oriented, right? I mean, the idea that we would drift in light of the great mission that God is on is just like a real mark against us. We ought to be men who are really driven by what matters to God. In fact, think about this too, why this conversation I think matters so much. Proverbs 29:18 says that where there is no vision, the people perish. That's from the King James Version. Where there is no vision, the people perish, right? When I listen to guys like Jocko Willink or Chad Robichaux, Tim Kennedy, I mean, just there's so many, but when I think of like these men that were ex-military, very driven, mission oriented, special forces kind of dudes, right? One of the things that I hear them talk about often is that when you come out of the military, for example, you have a very difficult time figuring out what your next mission is. And they really live within the ethos, I think, of the military with this idea of a mission. We know that we're a part of a collective team with a mission to defend, fight, right, win, whatever that might be. But they know when they wake up, they've got something to do. It's very mission driven. And when they get out, many men who have been very mission focused every single day for many, many years, they get into the civilian world and they really struggle. And so they talk about this conversation quite a bit. Like, what is your mission when you're gone? I remember like thinking about this with athletes, famous athletes that you've watched retire. They've spent their entire lives perfecting their shot or throwing a football or hitting a baseball or whatever that is. And it's like that's all they've done probably since 5 years old, right? And they've mastered it. They've become so good at it. They've become professional. But when they leave, now what? Right? Like when they retire, who are they? What are they about? What do they do now? Like this is a huge issue. What is their mission after that? In my day job as a financial planner, I see this a lot too. People that are just your average everyday people like you and me probably who, when the kids leave or, there's nobody else in the house, the kids are all gone, they're moved on, or, you retire and move on. Like, who are you? Like, what is your mission? What are you supposed to do next? Right. In all of these contexts, I think men struggle with this issue. What is my mission and how do I find it? Right. I think that the intersection here that we'll look at today is really this intersection between how God has made you and what God's will is for you. And we'll start breaking that down here in just a minute. But I just want you to consider first off, like a man that wakes up on a mission lives a different life than those of us who don't, right? A guy who wakes up with a mission has energy. He's got purpose. He's got vision. And in a lot of cases, he has joy because he's doing something that he knows he's meant to do. He's doing something that is important work, right? Think about the opposite, how true that is. If you wake up and you don't have a mission, you're floating, you're drifting, right? Complacent, you're apathetic, lacking joy, lacking energy. It's like the complete opposite. And yet, like what we struggle to figure out is what do I do though to find it? Like I know that that's true, that if I'm living for self, if I'm living without mission, that I'm living less of the life that I was intended to lead or to live. But what do I do? Like, how do I find my mission? That's kind of where we're at today. How do I find that?